How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Crypto Clout. I am your host, FaZe Crypto, and Electroneum seems to see some really significant gains, up 25% in the green at the current time of recording this video, and it's definitely interesting to look at how the current public health crisis that we've been encountering has certainly serviced the concept of mobile mining on a smartphone. This article just goes over several apps that allow you to mine cryptocurrency on your smartphone. Definitely interesting. And it covers Electroneum. In February, Electroneum announced that its Android smartphone will come with cloud mining features. The feature does not truly use the device's power to mine. Instead, Electroneum is effectively running a token giveaway. And it is interesting to see just how Electroneum has sort of been one of those few and far and in between profiters from the current shift over to what we've been essentially starting to term as the paradigm shift to the digital world that has come as a result of the distancing and, of course, the lack of old world sort of abilities. But what I really want to talk about here is Electroneum's overall advantage when we talk about where the global community is actually headed, because now you need to use the internet to talk to somebody who lives down the street from you. So essentially, you're a world away from your neighbor, the same way you could use that same technology to talk to somebody who lives in Zimbabwe. You could use the same technology that it takes for you to talk to your grandma who only lives a 10-minute drive down the road. You could use that same technology to talk to somebody who lives a world away. And just this sort of content, I'm using the same sort of technology. Of course, Bitcoin currently valued at $9,379. Elon Musk endorsing Bitcoin in a sort of roundabout, self-serving way. If you guys want to know more about that, check out my latest video where I advocate for people to tweet at Elon Musk for him to continue to advocate for cryptocurrencies. But in a real foundation sense, we need to consider Electroneum and the related technologies and what this actually means for developing parts of the world, because right now we're witnessing something that's unprecedented in human history in terms of watching this overall paradigm shift where we've now basically been brought onto our back heel and we're forced to imagine the unimaginable in terms of trying to imagine how these old technologies, this sort of Silicon Valley aspect of things, are actually going to operate. And I believe it is definitely an interesting ecosystem that's being developed in this context. And when we talk about Electroneum and we talk about the future leaders of this new paradigm, we have to imagine that Electroneum has built for itself what I would call like a superhighway. And the overall, when we watch different governmental and business sort of aspects of the world, they do in fact seek to create their own. They seek to create their own sort of replication of what has already been accomplished by many of these other technologies. So when we talk about Electroneum, and we're actually looking at basically a window into the future, if you will, when we actually take for a second the implications of this sort of technology, it is very interesting just to see how Electroneum and similarly related technologies have been able to really capitalize on the current situation that we see unfolding with the I mean, for lack of a better word, the public health sort of awareness that we see happening on a larger scale. And it will be very interesting just to see how Electroneum and many of these others are able to capitalize on this. And it's no surprise to me to see that Electroneum is being regarded as more bullish now, in particular, while we see a lot of these different aspects really coming into their own. And it is indicative of a paradigm shift that is, can't really be ignored. It will be very interesting to see how a lot of these different, intertwined variables will be making a really interesting impact as we see a lot of these different substantial concepts really coming into their own in a much broader sense. So, I mean, when we're talking about mobile mining, we're really, forced to include what will amount to be a conceptualization of the future paradigm that goes beyond many of the imaginations of what we can imagine as far as how these different things will operate. So it definitely is interesting. Of course, watching Bitcoin and watching Electroneum, it is interesting just to see how smartphones and all these other technologies that have been well moved into place will be having their time in the limelight while we watch the sort of different intertwined aspects of these things far removed from even the meager limitations of blockchain, and extending itself even further just to everyday aspects of life. And it does take us one step forward. When we talk about the global community, we talk about the worldwide sort of movement towards a lot of these different aspects. It is very interesting just to see how people have been responding to it. And, we'll continue to watch that sort of thing unfolding, as a community. I'm very happy to be making this content and, just being able to have this opportunity to talk about Electroneum and, the future of mobile mining. And, as we see more internet penetration, more people all around the world being able to access the internet, it will be very interesting just to see how a lot of these different technological innovations are able to make themselves known, in a really a four-dimensional view. Now, of course, remember this video is for entertainment, educational purposes only. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not your dad. So make sure that you go and do your own research when it comes to these things. But it will be very interesting just to see how Electroneum and related crypto projects are able to capitalize on the shift in mentality that we've really been witnessing happening. And, in a really four-dimensional way of viewing it, it is unprecedented in that same regard. So, yeah, make sure that you guys comment down below and let us know what you guys think about this sort of thing. What you guys think about the future of Electroneum and, how a lot of these mobile mining, this sort of shift in the psychology of currency has been definitely making a big impact. And I am bullish on Electroneum in a big way. I think that it is going to be very interesting just to see how Electroneum is able to make that impact in a similar way, connected to Bitcoin. Of course, we do have the top performers of today. By change, we have Electroneum coming in as number one. So it does sort of give you a future prediction there, as far as the interests, where people's interests lie, and especially in terms of mobile mining and the smartphone and the technological collaboration between the future and the present. So and we have seen that sort of fast forwarded now, and we'll continue to follow up on that. But yeah, so I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Now it's been really interesting. I think it's been fun to make. I'm glad that I was able to cover a lot of these different topics. But yeah, so for future notice, make sure that you guys are subscribed and put on post notifications, and of course tune in next time. We'll continue to bring you these updates. That's all for now. We're out of time, but I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.